Hey there. So in this video, we're going to expand on the File Server Resource Manager, and this time we'll be talking about file screening management. The previous video was working with quotas, but this time we will show a demonstration of what this can do for us. It'll be kind of a simple demonstration to give you an idea and how to do it. So what this does is it allows us to allow or block files and file types to a file share. So in our example here, we have a share for the HR department, and inside it we have a folder for the USA HR staff. And right now there's just a bunch of text files, but we're going to prevent audio and video files. For whatever reason, we're worried about that, and we don't want the extra space wasted on those type of documents in this folder. So to get started, I'll describe what this file group is all about. So you want to try and keep everything as generic as possible and object-oriented as possible. So if these file groups don't work for you, here we can block audio and video files, and Microsoft has created a big list of different file types that are common for those types of files. If that doesn't work for you, you can create your own, such as AutoCAD files. I'm not too familiar with it, but I think one file type is a DWF. If you didn't want that to be stored on your file server, then we can create a file group, call it AutoCAD files, and it gives us a bit of a description, star.dwf. I think I'm right, but I could be wrong. So there's the files to include in this group, or we could also think of it as reverse logic and exclude file types. And then if we have more, let's say CAD. I don't think that's true, but let's say there's a bunch in there. You can make them yourself. Okay. So that's a file group, and you want to create your list or review these and add and remove as you feel fit. The next is a template. So here is a template where we say we want to block audio and video files, and there are some rules that go with that. So we're going to edit this template and see what it does for us. So we're going to, in this template anyways, we're going to be actively screening where it says do not allow people to save files of these type. And again, we have this group selected, audio and video files, and we can view what types of files those are by clicking edit. So if we were to edit this, this would edit the audio and video files template. Or if that doesn't suit our needs, we can create one here, which would, again, in the background there, it would create a new group of files in that other file group area. So you can create an email message with these texts and variables, and you can edit this as you need it, or maybe if your end users need something a bit more simplified with easier language to understand, you can edit that as needed. Because I don't have a mail server, do you want to continue? Yes. I'm just going to log things to the event viewer when those rule violations are created. You could also run a script or run a report. And so that's just the template. Those are linking the rules and the file groups together. The file screens are what we apply to the actual file share. So here we want to create a file screen at a specific path. So that's our HR folder. We'll just say for the entire HR folder. And we want to block audio and video files. Click Create, and it's active right now. If you didn't want to make it active, you could just say passive. So now if people were to try and save an audio file, it would allow it, but it would also send an email message or create an event log or do both, depending on what settings you've selected. So I'll just cancel out of there so it stays active. And that's all you have to do. So now we'll pretend, create a text document. Oops. Give it a file size. Oops. And I'm just going to change the file type. Actually, I can do that under view extension. So I'm going to change this to an MP3. .mp3. There. So now at least the computer thinks it's a audio file, and of course we're allowed to save it on the desktop, but if we try and dump it into this USA folder, let me get rid of those files. If we try and dump it in there, I'll right click and copy, paste. Oh, you don't have permission. Well, that's interesting. It doesn't really give us a whole lot of information of why, but if you create a new text file, we're allowed to. So that kind of shows that our file screening is working. We can also go into the event viewer, and we should see the event log there. Event viewer, and it's under the application. And here we can see File Server Resource Manager. Oh, that's something to do with the email server isn't set up. Here we go. So this user attempted to save a song on the HR share on this server. So again, this message could be emailed to the user as well as the administrator, or just logged to the event viewer. Now there's one other option I saw in here, is to create a file screen exception. So if that rule didn't quite work, you could say that audio and video files were allowed for, let's say, training. And then you want people to be able to store video files in here for the training of Microsoft Word or something like that. And so we have to specify a path, HR user training, and we are excluding the audio and video files from the training folder. Click OK. And now what we should be able to do is copy this. We shouldn't be allowed to paste it here. That's true. But if we try and dump it into this folder, it does allow us. So there's a couple different examples and ways you can use this template screening. Kind of neat.